going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everyone? As one Crookshank here, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current five-time published author and educator here, as promised, for our first ever episode of Tackling Turnover with Teamwork, in which we will discuss a lot of different things. We're going to have a lot of ground to cover from current events. And one of the things, the superpower that I have is taking the lessons that I've learned from the football field, as you can see here, my latest book, Transferring D1, taking the lessons that I've learned and the things that are going on in the football field, in the sports world, applying those teamwork lessons to business. And what I've decided to do, because I do a lot of public speaking, I do a lot of videos, I do a lot of reactions, and some of the topics, most of the times, the topics get to the point where it's like I can't keep it confined into just one video, 10-minute or less video. So I've decided to expand upon it. I've actually learned how to use live streams and all that kind of stuff. So expect to see me here regularly coming at you on the live streams every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll probably end up doing them every single day, but I'm working up to that. But I'm doing them Monday when I'm committed to doing them every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I have the Stay Higher Sundays with Kimberly Blue, which we had a great episode of that. We had a great live stream yesterday. That video is available on YouTube. So as far as what we're going to discuss today, what the current events are today, all right, there's a lot of things there's a lot of ways in which we can look at what's going on in the sports world and apply it to our businesses. And the number one way, the main thing that, in my opinion, the sports world provides, and the examples that we see in the sports world, is this concept of nepotism. And for those of you who don't know, nepotism means it's the idea of hiring someone because they're a family member, because you're someone's nephew, you get the job doing this, or because you're someone's son, because you have the right, someone's son or daughter, because you have the right surname, whatever it is. All of a sudden you get put in a situation which you're not actually qualified for. That's kind of the tone in which nepotism is used for. All right. So before I get too deep into the topic, I'm going to start off with what I do every single Monday. I call it Make Your Move Monday, and it's the brand makeyourmove.com. That's the main website to check out all my work and all that kind of stuff. But the main thing I do every single Monday for you regular consumers of my work, I started doing this, a couple of years ago. I recently actually brought it back, but I'll start doing them again. But I do something called a kickoff question. All right. Monday, Make Your Move Monday's kickoff question. And to get everything started off, as you see in the title, we're talking LeBron, we're talking Coach Prime today, we're talking Donald Trump, and we're talking nepotism. How all three of those names I just mentioned, there's some nepotism involved in their current situations, their current career. Some of their critics, some of the people that have praised them, a lot of it is involved with, fatherhood. And, that's something I'm very passionate about as well, seeing that I do aspire to be a father one day as well. And I work with kids and I deal with a lot of parents, right? So as far as the question to get things kicked off, and I'm specifically, like I was telling you on the video this morning, I'm specifically targeting you Jordan faithfuls, the Michael Jordan diehard people. I'm targeting you guys on this question, all right? Because as we're seeing, as one of my favorite times of the year, last week of October, we're seeing basketball get kicked off. We're seeing baseball get into the playoffs. We're seeing football moving in that where teams are starting to separate themselves. It's just a great time of year for all my real sports folks, right? And you got to pose the question. You got to ask the question now. Are you taking, hold on, let me make sure before I get started. Let me make sure I am, go live. Sorry. I'm still getting the hang of this live thing. All right, cool. All right, you got the question is, are we taking what we're seeing with LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers and the work that he's putting in at year 22, are you taking Lakers LeBron James over Washington Wizards Michael Jordan? That's the question. That's the question. If you heard that question specifically, if you're one of the Jordan faithfuls, I've been on Team LeBron for a couple of years now, but I'm a little biased seeing that I'm a Miami Heat fan, and he brought us two championships, and what I was witnessing throughout that time as just when he was with the Miami Heat for those 4 years was stuff that didn't make no damn sense. I mean, he was doing shit that was just you just don't like impossible. And I have been on record saying, look, I'm a D Wade fan. Like that was my guy. I remember I used to get into arguments about who was better between D Wade and LeBron, and LeBron just completely trashed that entire argument when he went to the Heat. He proved that he is the GOAT. So for me, the reason I consider him the GOAT is because of that, not because I witnessed it. Now, I'm born 1989, so I grew up in an era where I saw the back end of Chicago Bulls version of Michael Jordan, but the most of what I like witnessed, and I went to games and I more so watched Washington Wizard Michael Jordan, which is why I think I'm so heavy on Team Braun. However, I do understand the people who say Jordan's the best when they start bringing up the flop in, when they start bringing up all how soft the NBA has gotten, because it really has. Every time you look up, somebody's hurt or there's a foul, and you got guys, free agency. The whole thing is just kind of a mess when it comes to the NBA. But at the end of the day, it's just who your guy is, just who my guy is, right? The person that you actually see. My nephew's going to have a different player, and everybody's going to have their era of player. But we got to be 100% honest when it comes to today's kickoff question, which is Laker LeBron James is easily, I mean, 10 times better, not even in the same arena as Washington Wizard Michael Jordan. And again, I grew up in Maryland. I've seen this. Like, this is not even a comparison. So what does that now say to the Jordan faithful? What does that now say to the people who have been Team Jordan and they've dubbed Jordan as the GOAT before LeBron's career is actually over? You see, that's what you got to ask yourself now, because one of the things I remember actually listening to D Wade on this was back when I Am Athlete podcast was a big thing. And they asked him, they said, look, that's your teammate, that's your boy, and he's still picked Jordan, but at the same time, you can kind of hear in his conversation where it's hard to compare two guys when one is still currently playing. Think about that. Okay, think about that. You're comparing two players. One is still currently playing, still, won. I mean, the scoring titles and he played with us. There's so many things that he's still doing in year 22. So you really don't have a comparison, especially when we're talking about a guy in Jordan who came back and played with the Wizards, and it just didn't end well at all. It was not a good, in my opinion. I felt like he should have left in '96 off the fadeaway and just be done with it. I thought that would have been the best way to just end his career. Like, my favorite player of all time is Ray Lewis, and I love the fact that Ray Lewis ended his career with the championship, with the Super Bowl, just right out into the sunset. I felt like Jordan shouldn't have came back. He should have just left us all with that image, him pushing my man Russell, and just that bow off the fadeaway. And just end it, drop the mic. I didn't like the fact that I think it ruined his, the picture for me, because I'm a young guy. I was still probably elementary, middle school age at that time, and I didn't really like the fact that he came back, even though it was from my hometown Washington Wizards team, right? So that's the kickoff question. And the kickoff question, as we transition, the reason I brought that up is because I want to bring it to year 22, and I want to react to LeBron James and Bronny and this whole idea of nepotism, this whole idea of, oh, well, Bronny I think he averaged like 2 points or something at USC. He didn't have a great, I don't even call it great. He didn't have much of a career at all. He didn't really play. I think he was hurt when he was at USC. However, he still gets a chance to play for the Lakers. He still gets to the NBA and all that kind of stuff. And while the criticism of it's only because he's LeBron James' son, while that criticism is valid, the question is actually, what's wrong with that? Why is that a problem? Why is it a problem? Why is it a problem for someone of LeBron James stature, right? Someone who we know is known for 22 years, has given his all. You know, say what you want about him, say what you may your personal opinion about him and what he's done. Again, I'm not here to debate that. I don't know the man personally, but say whatever it is you want to say about him off the court. And we're talking on the court. Everyone can agree that that man has given it his absolute all. He has not cheated the fans one bit, one game, not cheated any owner, any coach that has ever coached him, any teammate that he's ever actually had. They have nothing but great things to say about him when it comes to the way he handles his business on the basketball court. So why is it a problem that he, given the stature and given what he's done for the game, why is it a problem that he has the ability to, because he's his son, because he's my son, why is it a problem that he is able to get his son an opportunity to play? Because that's all he really got. It's all listen, he was and this is why the criticism towards what he's done, the criticism towards it being nepotism, the criticism is so ridiculous, because it's not like Bronny was drafted in the first round. Bronny was drafted in the second round. And given what the NBA is, with the how the G League works, with how NIL works, with how free agency works, with how you have guys flip-flopping and jumping from team to team, which the way overseas basketball works, and how all of it works, how basketball works in general. It's a worldwide game. It's not just a game played in the USA. It's a game that's played everywhere. You being drafted in the second round is not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal anymore, especially when it was about you. There's a G League, and there's actually where he's going to be playing. The majority of his rookie year is going to be on the G League where he's developing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him having that opportunity. If you want to go deeper into it, it was D Wade's son. D Wade is part owner of the Utah Jazz, and D Wade's son actually was, I'm not sure if he's still there. I think he is. I think he might be there. He might be playing overseas somewhere. But D Wade's son actually ended up playing, or at least had an opportunity to play for the Utah Jazz's G League team, which isn't a problem. Okay, so when we're discussing this, and we're talking about the criticism, and if you guys just joined today's topic, we're talking LeBron, we're talking Coach Prime, we're talking eventually we're going to get to the election and Trump, and all of that is going to be kind of a lesson when it comes to nepotism, and a lesson when it comes to a bigger lesson. The macro part of everything we're talking about is how to utilize nepotism, how to understand that there's nothing wrong with it. It's more of a positive thing. And if you look at it as a positive thing, you'll start to see people develop more passion for what they do. You'll start to see in organizations that are working more like a family. You'll start to see people showing up to work in a way that they're not just going for the check. They're not just going because it's making them a certain amount of money. And when you start seeing people who are doing it because of the passion and because of the love that they have for whatever work environment they're in, then you start to see organizations that are more closely knit. You start to see more quality products, more quality services for whatever it is you're trying to do. So when it comes to Bronny, and when it comes, and I'll close and I'll transition after I explain this, but when it comes to everything that we're seeing with the Los Angeles Lakers, whether it's JJ Redick getting the position because of the relationship that he had, because of the relationship that he had with LeBron and the podcast that they did, or, the way that LeBron's influence the influence that LeBron has had over the NBA for the past, 2 decades at this point. There's nothing wrong with his son getting an opportunity, getting drafted in the second round, and eventually going and playing in the G League. Most likely is not going to, no one's going to he's not going to be LeBron James. We can all accept that he's not going to be LeBron James on the basketball court. However, he can be LeBron James, or he can be the greatest in whatever he decides to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. And as a lesson for you business owners out there, the lesson would be, don't be apologetic about wanting opportunities for your kids. Don't be apologetic about doing your work and saying to yourself, hey, I'm doing this because I want my young people to eat. I'm doing this because I want to create opportunities for my younger generations. Do not be apologetic about that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that mindset. And saying that, we're going to get off LeBron now. We're going to transition that into what we're seeing in Colorado with the Colorado Buffs and Coach Prime. Now, here we go. All right. And I remember saying this, and just so we're clear now, I am recording this. Matter of fact, let me make sure everything is still live and all that good stuff. All right, I am recording this. I'm making sure I'm clear because I'm recording this. It is October 28th, 2024. All right. Officially 2 seasons in, or 1.5 years seasons in, one little over a half of Coach Prime taking over the Colorado Buffaloes, essentially taking over the media, taking over college, dominating the headlines, dominating college football media, at least, social media and, all the press that he has brought to Colorado. We're officially 2 years in, pretty much 2 years in, and Coach Prime Time Deion Sanders has made the Colorado Buffaloes a team that is bowl eligible. They've won 6 games, and that deserves a hand clap. All right, that deserves a hand clap. It deserves a hand clap. All right, and this is primarily for the players and the people involved with Colorado, the real fans. Whenever I talk Colorado football, whenever I talk Coach Prime, I sort of try to directly have dialogue with the people who are real Buffs fans. All right. I try to more so listen to the ones who are actual not coach, but Colorado Buffs fans. And those are really, really hard to find. The majority of the time whenever you're talking Colorado football, there are a lot of bandwagon people who've never actually watched the Colorado game, but they are more so fans of Coach Prime Time, and they want to see him do well, and they follow him wherever he goes and all that kind of stuff, which is why, for me personally, I made sure that I stayed as quiet as I possibly could. I didn't want to say anything about Coach Prime throughout the offseason. I wanted to just stay quiet and say, you know what? I'm going to wait till I see a win-loss record. I'm going to wait to see how his team performs after last year and that complete debacle. They absolutely, the catastrophic fall that they had last year. Say, hey, that was the first year. It happens. This is football. This is what happens in your first year of a coach. That's just how it works, right? No matter the hype, no matter all the stuff that he got from the transfer portal, no matter how much he talked about how we come in now and all that kind of stuff, last year the team just stunk up the joint. All right. But hey, it was his first year, and that's what happens. This year, I said to myself, you know what? I ain't talking no Coach Prime football. I ain't talking no Colorado football until I see a win-loss record. They've officially become bowl eligible, and now they are ranked in, I believe they're ranked number 23, and they have a good opportunity to win the Big 12 and all that. So again, that deserves a hand clap. They deserve praise for answering the critics, and a lot of people were seeing things. A lot of people were saying, hey, they're not as good, and a lot of people were expecting them to lose. So the team actually does deserve to be praised for the winning. Now, here we go. Here we go. Because in life, there's never something that's going to be just all good. There's never something that's going to be all bad. There are trade-offs when it comes to everything good and everything bad. There's no perfect situation. There's no just straight, narrow line that's going to be this and be that. There's always a trade-off, all right? The trade-off to, I'm reluctant to actually call it a success. I'll say the trade-off to, if we're going to, the trade-off to the success that he's having this season is the fact that, first of all, he's playing big. The Big 12 is not what it used to be. All right. It's not what he had last year, when he had to deal with last year when it comes to the Pac-12, right? The Big 12 is not the conference that it used to be. So the competition is not where it was. Again, not taking anything away from the wins, because again, you got to appreciate the wins regardless. As college football is college football. All right. But you do have to recognize that. But also, the question now becomes the bigger question, the macro question. And it's more so the question now when it comes to all the people who are so supportive of Colorado, but really they're actually more so supportive of Coach Prime. The question is, when he becomes successful, now that he has officially become successful at Colorado, or now that he's officially gotten some wins and has been able to have some wins on his belt, and his name is bigger, believe it or not, his name now as a coach is probably surfacing around a whole lot more than it actually was before. Now the question is, what's the reason for him to stay in Colorado? What's the reason? Now that he's made it a success, what's actually going to be the reason for him to stay? He got to stay. He came from high school. This is a Hall of Famer. All right, he's a Hall of Famer. Came from high school, went to Jackson State, which is a FCS program, and he has said it on multiple occasions that his lifestyle was going to be fine regardless. He was, again, Hall of Fame NFL player, could sit back and retire, could not. If he didn't want to coach, then he didn't have to coach. He does it for the love. He does it from his heart. He does it because he just loves being out there doing it, which he just doesn't have to. I mean, when it comes to him. However, when he was posed the question when he was at Jackson State, they said, would you consider a Power 5 offer? And his answer was he'd have to consider, not because of his lifestyle, but because of his coach's lifestyle, because of the player's lifestyle, because of the people around him, because of the people that he represents, because of, he is an actual leader, and he has to think about his assistants, his support staff, and the people that follow him. So the question now is it going to, now that he's a success, is it going to make sense for him to stay in Colorado when his two sons move on, his son Shador and Shiloh, and actually the Travis Hunter, who is like a son to him, who he has expressed is like a son to him. Once they move on to the NFL, is the culture, is the team, is he going to be able to go and recruit guys that are going to keep this level of standard? Considering that most of the guys that he brought in were from the transfer portal as it is. That's the question. And this is where a lot of these things relate when it comes to nepotism, when it comes to how we go about as men, how we go about, operating and bringing our kids into the business. This isn't me necessarily criticizing Coach Prime for his decision or his non-decision, whatever he's going to do. I'm like you. Nobody actually knows what he's going to do unless it's him, and that's not him. Doesn't actually knows what's going to happen at the end of the year. But what we can all start to really question is, hey, now that there's somewhat of a culture, somewhat of a win streak here in Colorado, I'm more curious about what real Buffs fans, like real people, that this is why I like listening to Matt McChesney. I like listening to him a lot because he actually played there. I like listening to Joel Klatt. I like listening to the people that actually played for Colorado to really get their thoughts on this, because you just gotta ask yourself these questions. This is a business. College football is a business, and every team is gonna have, like, I'm a diehard. People know me. I'm a diehard Michigan fan. A diehard Michigan fan, like to the point where I'm hurt with the season that we're having, and I was in another world last year. Like when you watch Michigan games with me, so when you watch a Michigan game with me, I'm like hurting. I'm tense. I'm so, because I believe in the program. I believe in the wing helmets. That was actually the uniforms that I wore when I was a kid, and that's what made me a Michigan fan. And they have history, they have tradition, they have a situation where it doesn't matter what coach you bring in. Not one coach that comes to Michigan is going to be bigger than the program. Not one. And the problem again, now I'm getting to the criticism a little bit. This is going to sound a little like I'm criticizing Coach Prime, but the problem with the way the Colorado Buffs are set up right now is too many people are drawn to the program because of one person, because of one coach. And I can tell you from experience that making your decision on where you're going to attend college, making your decision on where you want to get yourself educated, making your decision on where you want to pursue a lot of life goals, where you want to, transition into adulthood and all that kind of stuff. Making that decision because of a football coach, because of one football coach, and a it is a really, really bad idea. It is a dead end route to a very unhappy situation. If you're making your decision because of a football coach, if you're making a decision on where you want to go to college, where you want to pursue your education, okay, this is important for you to grab. All right, understand with Coach Prime, he has, and I hate to single out Shiloh and Shador and Travis, because there's other players on the team that love him like a father. There's other players on the team that I'm sure he listens to very much, or he loves just as much as his two kids and all that. I'm sure that is the case. However, he still is a father, and he still has to, like he has said, has to make the best decisions for his kids, which is, in my opinion, why Jackson State wasn't the best situation for him, and why he wanted to get out of there and come to Colorado in an environment that was a little better to raise your kids and all that. But that's another conversation. The question now becomes, or the statement, not the question, but the statement becomes now, is Coach Prime, not, that's not the question. The statement is, Coach Prime is the reason that Colorado is getting this amount of attention. Coach Prime is the reason that players are coming to the school. And I'm telling you from experience, that is the wrong way to pick a college. That is the wrong way to pick where you're going to be going and get educated, and where you're going to be attending a higher institution. That's a bad idea. You should not, the world and the things that you're going to be, when you really look back on it, and you can listen to, don't just take my word for it, but you can listen to retired NFL players all over this country, and they will tell you, football is actually a very small part of your life. When you look at overall and everything that's going on and everything that you have seen in this world, all of it, football is actually a really, really small part of an individual's life. And if you're picking your college because of one person, because of one football coach, that eventually is going to catch up with you. That mindset is going to catch up with you. That slave type mindset, because that's actually what it is. It's a slave mentality for you to go and pick a school, pick where you want to get yourself educated, because of one coach who's going to be caring so much about you only during the time. Only, this is important. And if he's worth it, this is just the way the business is set up. Okay. As a coach, it's your job to really only pay attention to the players who can get you wins right now. Not to say that you don't love the guys that have played for you in the past, not to say that you won't support them, not to say that you won't be there for them. But at the end of the day, if you want to stick around as a coach, it's your job to be only concerned with the men that are going to get you the wins now, that are going to put the wins up, that are playing right now. So if you're making that decision based on a football coach, and God forbid something happens and you can no longer play or whatever, that football coach now is moving on to the next recruit. That's the way this business is set up. So again, and to kind of put a bow on this, all right, because it still remains to be seen how this whole Colorado experiment works out. There's still a lot of variables, there's still a lot of unanswered questions in regards to just how everything's going to turn out. The main thing is you as Colorado people, the real Colorado fans, not the bandwagon people that are just prime sexuals, but the real Colorado fans, you have to be very happy with the fact that you're winning, be very proud of the wins. And again, you've silenced a lot of critics and you've proved a lot of doubters wrong. So be very proud of the season that you had. But at the same time, you got to really ask yourself and have a serious conversation, serious dialogue about, is Coach Prime becoming too big? Is Coach Prime making it too much about him? Whether you lose, whether you're successful, is it too much about people coming to the school because of one individual, instead of actually coming to the school because they love their university, because they actually want to get better, because they actually are interested in are actually interested in attending a place in which they're going to actually develop and be great, and they're going to do things, they're going to do some incredible things in this world. That's what you have to ask yourself, because if it's the first one I said, then there's no real incentive for Coach Prime to stay. That's just the God honest truth. If it's the first one, if it gets to the point where people are only considering Colorado because of the football coach, or the only reason they're getting his attention is because of the football coach, then there's no reason for him to stay. Especially if his sons move on, and Travis Hunter, and they, have a season, have a rebuilding year like Michigan is going through right now. If they have a rebuilding year, they're not as good as they are this year, or there something happens and they're not as good, or if he's in a situation where he moves on to a different program, it could ultimately set the program back further, because it can't be, and this is just the way football works. It can't be about just one individual. In fact, where I played, Stony Brook University, right, and I'll close you out with this example. Stony Brook, last year we went 0-10. 0-10. Now, I played there, and that hurt me. It hurt me. It was funny because I'm a fan of Michigan, and my team that I'm a fan of, we went 15-0. However, the team I played for goes 0-10. So it was kind of a balancing out, and that's the way football works. But anyway, this year we got a new coach. They got Coach P, who coached me. He actually, I believe he either got fired or retired. Ultimately it was time for him to move on. As it is, I think he did some great things for the program and seeing it build. It was basically a Division II program when he got there. Now we're one of the top programs in the FCS. But the understanding that Coach P, even just because Coach P left, and we bring in Coach Kosh. Now we're winning, and now we're doing things, and I can't tell you what the record is at the moment. I know we just won a game against William and Mary, which is a big win because that's in the CAA and one of the top programs in the FCS and all that. But the bottom line to it is, it stopped being about just Coach P. All right. When I was there, even before I got there, he was 4 years into his tenure at Stony Brook. And it was so much about him. It was so much was on his shoulders. And as I've watched the program grow since I've been there, and since I left, since I graduated and all that, I've seen how the program stopped being so much about Coach P, and it started being about just getting to Stony Brook, getting yourself a quality education, being in New York, playing football, and the program has flourished when it stops being around about one person. All right. And that's where I'll leave it. I'll leave it at that, to where you have to be, as Colorado faithful, you have to be moving in a direction where you're not making being there about one individual. All right. Because that ultimately would set you back even further. All right. So as we transition, and I'm coming up on my close. Final topic. We're talking LeBron, Coach Prime, Trump, and nepotism. All right, nepotism and how it can be used in a positive way. And then I want to point out, as I transition to the final topic today, because I want to point this out. This is very important. It didn't hit me. I didn't know how I was going to connect these three concepts until as probably this morning when I took my run. I cleared my head and kind of really thought to myself about what I was going to talk about with these lives, because I work with someone who is a true I don't want to say true, but yes, definitely we'll call him a true Coach Prime supporter. And this is how much of a Coach Prime supporter he is. He played at USC. He played football, played his college football at USC. Yet last year, when it was Colorado versus USC, he was going for Colorado. That's how much of a Prime supporter. He's that much of a Prime supporter. And in turn, he hates Trump just as much as he loves Prime. Okay, so it's like that. You hate Trump to the point that you love Coach Prime, and that's kind of what one of the things that actually inspired me when it comes to this talk, because right now, as the debate stands and as it looks like Trump is going to be our 47th president of the United States, which is the person that I want to win personally. However, it doesn't really matter what my personal opinion is. It's about what your research and what exactly you want. For me personally, the reason I'm more on the Trump side, that I decided to vote for Trump, is because number one, I'm very pro-life. I'm a person that doesn't like the idea. I just don't like how the campaign, how Kamala and her administration are for this abortion, how frivolous, how easy they make this whole abortion thing. Is not really something. So as a person that aspires to be a father and wants to be a great father one day, I don't like how you're running on this reproductive rights and basically making abortion really, really easy for people. That's something I don't like. And then the next issue for me, that was like, look, I gotta roll with Trump on this one. The next issue for me was this idea of men playing in women's sports. That to me, like, again, I'm a sportsman through and through. That's a no. That's a like a hard zero tolerance. Hell no. We don't want men playing in women's sports. And remember, actually, in Trump's RNC speech, it was off the cuff. He goes, "There'll no longer be men playing in women's sports." Like, so for me, because of those issues, Trump has my vote. However, I'm never telling an individual who to vote for. I'm more so the person that will encourage you to get involved, encourage you to do your own research. I'm more the person that, especially growing up in Maryland, the DMV area, myself being a black male, myself who still has some political aspirations. Myself, I'm telling you, the next 4 years, I've based on everything that I've been like just learning and taking in from the whole debates and all the politics, the political game. It's intriguing me now to get into politics myself. But I will advise you to do your own research and make sure you are making the decision because you want to make the right decision, because of the decision that's going to be best for your situation, your family situation, and whatever the young people around you, the young people that depend on you to make a decision, whatever that's going to be. Make sure you're making the decisions for those reasons, not because of what the media likes to do and the propaganda and all that kind of stuff. Because one of the things that, I mean, it's crazy to me to think about how I never heard this. I've never heard so much hate towards Trump until he became the president. I've never heard people talk so negatively about him. I mean, there's actual footage, actual people who have just trashed this man for the past 4 years. You see that he's given them jobs, he's given them opportunities. These were like his friends. All right. And that's more of the experience that I've had, the experience that a lot of, like, whether it's LeBron, whether it is Coach Prime, the experience that Trump, Coach Prime, and LeBron have in common is one day you have friends, one day you have supporters, and literally the next step, the next phase, like the next day, you could be trashed by the same people that you were once friends with. That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. The fact that one day you have all this support and there was nothing wrong until you actually make a decision that's going to better yourself, and all of a sudden you get all this hate. Think about it. Think about it. When LeBron decided he was going to go to Miami, he got painted as this villain, as this person that was just a menace and can't believe he would leave Cleveland. Coach Prime leaves Jackson State. Coach Prime leaves Jackson State. All of a sudden, he is terrible. He's the worst person in the world. Trump runs for president. All of a sudden, oh man, people hate him. And he's this, he's that. He's the next Hitler. I mean, just ridiculous stuff. And this is actually what inspired today's episode, is the fact that when you want to become a success, when you actually make the transition and do stuff that is going to be beneficial to your family and beneficial to the young people, you will get criticized for it. That's fine. When it starts happening, when you start catching those strays, and people that you supported, people that you've loved, people that you have worked with and tried to help in the past, when they start turning on you, just take your right hand and pat yourself on the back like that, because now you're successful. Now you're on the path towards being a success, and now you're making a way. You're making a way for your young people, right? So anyway, I know I get off topic. I got off topic with that. What happened was, here's what happened. I know this guy is, again, huge Coach Prime supporter, right? And and he hates Trump just as much as he loves Prime, loves Coach Prime. So whenever he and I discuss politics, there was like one of the things for me that made me very optimistic about Donald Trump back in 2016 was the fact that he is coming from the business world. He's a businessman. He's not a lifelong politician. There was a point he really didn't think about running for president or anything like that, but he's been a success in business. He's been successful in business. And to me, he was more like Obama than Hillary because of the outside perspective and what he could bring to Washington with his fresh ideas and what he's learned in the business world. So I was optimistic. I've been optimistic about Donald Trump since 2016, right? So I asked this individual, I posed that as to poke some holes in his argument about how Trump is so bad, Trump is bad, Trump is bad, Trump is bad. And I said, look, he's been a successful in the business world. And then his argument was, oh, well, that's because his father made him a success. And to the people, and he's not the only one that makes this argument, I'm just using him as an example. But there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, Trump's success he only inherited it because of his father. His father is the one that did this for him. His father's the one that did that for him. So when you got to keep that same energy, and the reason I'm bringing him up specifically is because you got to keep that same energy when we're talking about Shador, right? If Trump's dad is the only reason that Trump has been successful in the business world, that's like saying Shador is the Coach Prime, Deion Sanders is the only reason that Shador has been a success on the football field. And that's bullshit. That's bullshit. It's not. I mean, it is just not the case. It's not Coach Prime out there, threading the needle and hitting guys in stride. Okay, he may have laid the platform, he may have given the opportunity, but at the end of the day, Shador has to show up. Shador has to step up in the pocket, take these sacks, and then boom, like I said, hit guys in stride. Perfectly hit him. He has to perform. So if Trump's dad was a success and he gave him the money, at the end of the day, Trump still had to apply it. He still had to perform in the business world. It wasn't about just he gave him money or he gave him a situation in which he wasn't going to have to work hard. You still have to put in the work, regardless of who your father is, regardless of who your parents are, regardless of how successful somebody makes you. You still have to put in the work. All right. And I make sure, because I'm making sure that I'm emphasizing that to you all, because the topic of today is we're talking why nepotism is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't matter who your parents are. It doesn't matter what your daddy or your mommy did for you. At the end of the day, you got to perform. You got to show up every single day, regardless of what's going on. I've been on both sides of this. Trust me, been on both sides. All right. Started off at a public school. Then I went to Good Counsel, which is a private school, and then went on to a liberal arts college and have been around. I've been around a lot. I won't give you my full bio right now because I don't got time to. But the bottom line is, regardless of who your daddy is, who your parents are, whatever it is they did, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what opportunities they are providing for you. You got to perform. Bronny's son, LeBron James' son, still has a problem. There's a reason he's not playing for the Lakers. He's actually on the G League. It doesn't matter. Shiloh and Shador still got to perform, regardless of who their daddy is. Trump's dad giving him this money, he still had to apply it and build a business behind it. That's the bottom line. All right. So as I transition, I'm going to close you guys out soon, is when you're running your business, be very unapologetic about the idea of wanting to provide for your kids. Be very unapologetic about that. There's nothing wrong whatsoever in you building a business and creating a business and providing opportunities for your kids. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, what's important for you to understand is that you, as the younger person that's listening, understand that just because your daddy is who your daddy is, or just because your mommy is who your mommy is, does not give you an out, does not give you a situation in which you're not going to be required to do a job, and you need to be holding yourself up to the standard that they have set forth. That's what it's all about. All right. And as we look at what's going on in the world, and I'll be here to kind of react to a lot of what we're going to see when it comes to everything that we've discussed today. We have to be constantly thinking about how can I create a unit? How can I create a business? How can I create an organization in which people are coming to work every day and it feels like family? They're coming to work every day and it feels like we're doing something bigger. We're doing something for more than just money. We're actually making a dent. We're actually creating opportunities. We're actually working together to create some quality service and quality products that our young people are going to need, and not this constant bashing. And I'll just I have so much more. It's crazy because I have so much more to add to this. But when we look at both sides, and I'm doing my best not to bring up Kamala Harris and the Democrats and all that kind of stuff. But when we look at both sides and we look at what the opponents of Trump, the opponents of the Republican Party are doing in a lot of their commentary, so much about the campaign, so much of what they're trying to do to get your vote is about telling us how bad the opponent is, how bad Trump is, how bad the other person is, but not providing any real level, any real detail oriented issue or policies, nothing really concrete about what makes them better. Okay, that's what you have to take into consideration. All right, so as we recap, as I close out, whether it's LeBron helping out, being in a situation, being blessed enough, being fortunate enough to be in a situation where he can use his influence to give his son an opportunity, whether we're talking Coach Prime and how him being bigger than Colorado can be the downfall, but at the same time being very proud of the fact that he has been able to build a winner. He's been able to turn around a program and give them some light and actually put some wins up. Or whether we're talking about Trump being able to take advantage of what his father was able to do for him and apply it to business, and put together just an incredible resume, incredible portfolio of business transactions, an incredible portfolio, an incredible just incredible life, in my opinion, to be honest with you, from business to politics, being able to accomplish a lot of great things. Whether we're talking all of that, we have to start looking at nepotism more as a positive thing and not looking at it as something that's a detriment. That's really the takeaway of everything that we've discussed today. So again, I'm here eventually it will become an every single day live stream, but for now it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I do my Stay Hired Sundays with Kimberly Blue, founder of Ardent HR Solutions. So you'll start to see me regularly now that I'm learning the technology, do a lot of these. So all that being said, the main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, it's makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYaMove.com. It's a one-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one, Crookshank here, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.